7 million. You heard it right. 7 million people lose their lives every year due to airborne particulate matter, resulting in a shock of $8.1 trillion to the global economy every single year. At Senvia, we are building a device that lets you see this invisible thread in the air which you are breathing right now. Scandals like asbestos would have been totally avoided. And today, we have a new global enemy, airborne microplastic, which has known to cause neural disorders like dementia. At Senvia, we can capture, detect, and analyze such invisible threats in real time, seeing what no sensor has ever seen before. At this global youth meeting, let's solve such unique problems at a global scale. Let's use this wind of change to build things that truly matter, because at Senvia, we say, air, understanding what matters. Thank you.
Hello, global changemakers. 9 years ago, I went to my first cleanup event. I never thought that picking up trash would let me travel the world, but it is true, I'm here. My name is Diana, I'm from Kazakhstan. My project is Taza Kazakhstan Road Relay. We drive for 5 days through villages and highways, cleaning up trash on the roadways. To engage people, kids sort waste like a game. Seniors learn digital literacy. Youth get mass workouts and concerts with popular artists. This is not just clean up, this is a quest. So here are the results. We clean up around 2,700 kilometers of roadways, engaged around 9 million of people, and sorted almost all trash. And now we scale for SCO countries. We pass care for nature from hand to hand. And now it's your turn. Let's try our best to change the world. Thank you for listening.
Bonjour tout le monde! Hello! My name is Gilles Suman, and I'm representing Rasopa from France. For almost 10 years, we've been working with young people from rural and grassroots communities to turn their ideas into action. We have used design thinking, non-formal education, and social innovation approaches to help them turn their ideas into reality. However, we realize one thing. Young people do not only lack ideas or motivation. They have all of that, but they lack the funding and the understanding of the infrastructures and the system in which they operate. So our system does not stop at just helping them turning their ideas into reality. We help them find the funding and then the strategy that will help them implement their ideas. Recently, we helped secure funding for a project on food sustainability and food social security for young people that were living in precarity. Today, the project helps feed more than 100 students that were living in precarity. So our work is not just about helping people implement their ideas, but also having impact that will turn into sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Post-truth, deepfakes, polarization, and fake news. In 2025, the World Economic Forum ranked disinformation as the single greatest humanity risk over the next few years. My project is called Pulver, and we are a Brazilian intelligence company built to address that risk. We monitor the entire information ecosystem in real time. Using AI, we produce all mainstream social media networks and also traditional media that we monitor. But our most distinctive capability is our analysis of more than 100,000 WhatsApp and Telegram groups. This technology has earned us the trust of some of the most important institutions in my country. For example, Petrobras, Brazil's largest oil company, the Brazilian Ministry of Health, and also Brazilian Supreme Court. They rely on Pulver to understand in real time how harmful narratives are forming and what is the best strategy to counter these narratives. Let us walk hand in hand, use our borderless innovation to build AI for good, and create a fair, just, inclusive, and beautiful world for all of us. Thank you very much.
Growing up in Tanzania, I knew what it felt like to have big dreams, but never had access to opportunities. learning about computer from merely a chalkboard without ever touching a real keyboard, it's a heartbreaking reality that drove me to act. I am Gloria Anderson from Tanzania. We execute the One Computer Lab, One School program, where we establish localized offline digital hubs in low-income community schools in Tanzania. To date, we have empowered over 35,000 young people with necessary digital skills for them to thrive in 21st century. We have secured government co-funding partnership, and we are scaling computer labs in every district. In 2024, through the Action Plan for Global Youth Development by World Youth Development Forum, we were able to expand our footprints in Hunan province in China, where this opportunity drives cross-border cooperation and collaboration between youth in Tanzania and China. To the development partners in the room, believe in young people ideas. Invest in our scalable, proven frameworks. To young leaders all over the world, let's step up, mobilize resources, and drive sustainable development. Thank you.
Grüß Gott and hallo. My name is Julia Heiler. I'm from Germany. I'm an opera singer and musicologist, and I'm the representative of MD Art Management, the organizer of the Duomondi Art and Music Festival in Salzburg. Today, I would like to speak about the power of cultural exchange and the important role young people can play in building a more connected, sustainable, and peaceful world. The relationship between China and Europe has been enriched by centuries of exchange. Along the historic Silk Road, artistic traditions traveled between East and West and inspired artists to great works, which are the center part of our festival, Duomondi. Music, as a universal language, transcends borders and connects people across cultures, which I experienced myself again as a participant at the World Youth Development Forum. I joined an international cultural co-creation team with young artists from various countries around the world. We integrated traditional Chinese musical instruments with Western musical frameworks and moreover found each other in making music together. Let's keep building bridges with culture and music and inspire the next generation to create a world of peace, inclusiveness and sustainability. Thank you very much.
I'd like you to raise your hand if you've completed a PhD, a bachelor's degree, if you finished high school. Almost every hand in the room. When I was 16, I almost dropped out of high school. I'd convinced myself that I was stupid, I was lazy, and I'd never amount to anything. But right before I walked away, I went to an event that changed my life. And when I went into that room, for the first time, nobody asked me to memorize anything. They asked me to build a business that could change the world. And that's when I realized that learning could be exciting. It could be energetic. And I realized that I had never been broken. I had just never been valued in the things that I was good at. Future Hack is a 6-week program for thousands of young people just like me, who don't fit the system. We teach them how to build a business from scratch. We sit them with investors and entrepreneurs, and we write our first checks to directly fund their ideas. My name is Nathaniel Diong, and I'm the founder and CEO of Future Minds Network. Today, we lead Australia's leading entrepreneurship movement for over 13,000 young people. And right now, we're piloting Australia's first school-based entrepreneurship pathway, so that a young person doesn't just need good grades to reach university. In fact, by building a business, they will earn full university credit, save over $3,000 in tuition, and walk in already ahead of the curve. In our first pilot alone, we're expecting to save over $1.5 million in savings to students in the most marginalized communities in Australia. Around the world, every single young person deserves to find what I found, that our worth is not just about academic achievement, it's also about our capability, our creativity, and our innovation. Because when a young person knows their worth, their mind, their health, and their future all come alive. Thank you.
I grew up in the informal settlements of Kenya, around poverty and waste. And I later lost my father and had to move to an orphanage, so I know what it means to lack, struggle, and be discriminated. My name is Benson Abila, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of MTACA, and we're leveraging technology to turn waste work into a respectable and dignified source of income for youth and women. Knowing the pain of discrimination, especially for something that was so normalized growing up in my community, we have built inclusive, low-tech, and easy-to-use mobile platforms integrated with AI that support youth and women to be able to then build businesses in the waste sector. We do this through capacity building and offer them the tool to help them get access to market, access to credit in an inclusive manner that leaves no one behind. Since we began our work, we powered the recovery of over 4 million kilograms of materials, engaged over 25,000 members of the community, and increased income up to 3 times for the youth and women. And every day, what keeps me going is when a young woman turns to me and tells me they feel safe, valued, respected, and dignified for turning to waste as a source of income. And with that, I appeal to all of you not to look at waste as a crisis, but as an opportunity to take action so that we turn it into jobs, into income, as we build towards a just, dignified, and sustainable future for all of us. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Xiong Siqi, a youth representative from Yangtze Memory Technologies Corporation, or YMTC, headquartered here in Wuhan, China. 10 years ago, YMTC have started from scratch in Wuhan, focusing on the high-end memory chip. Over the past decade, we have committed to independent innovation. Today, YMTC have grown into an important player in the global memory chip industry, providing stable and reliable memory products.
Worldwide through our partner platforms. Today, tens of thousands of young people are joining us online, together with youth delegates from more than 120 countries and regions, representatives of UN agencies and international organizations, and ministers responsible for youth affairs from around the world. We gather here in Wuhan for this global celebration of youth. My name is Huang Aiping from Xinhua News Agency. Once again, welcome everyone. Youth drive development for a better world. This is not only the theme for this year's forum, but also a sincere invitation to the young people around the world. The voices of the youth deserve to be heard globally, and their action will need policy support. That leads to our next session, Dialogue on Youth Policy. So before the forum, we have compiled key concerns reflecting youth concern, and we look forward to an in-depth dialogue with youth ministers, leaders of youth organizations, and heads of international organizations. Now please join me in welcoming our panelists to the stage. They are Julia Kopp, National Secretary of Workers' Party Youth of Brazil. Edna Vuelafuerta Gutierrez, National Youth Secretary of Peru. Jan Palach, President of National Youth Council of Poland. Mo Gyu-jong, Member of the National Assembly, Chairman of Youth Committee of the Democratic Party of Republic of Korea. Ahmed Wischong Beining, Secretary General of Pan-African Youth Union. Stephen Jackson, UN Resident Coordinator in China. Xiong Zhengyu, Mayor of Wuhan. Xu Xiao, President of the All China Youth Federation, member of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. Moderating this panel will be Ms. Gao Xing, Youth Development Specialist of UNDP China. All right, Ms. Gao, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, and dear young leaders, good morning. Welcome to the Dialogue of Youth Policy. I'm Suzy Gaoxin from UNDP China. Today we have a remarkable opportunity to meet with these ministers and also the top policymakers from around the world. They are the people driving the youth development agenda in their own countries. And also, they are the people working behind the scene to create better policies and social environment for the youth development. So let's make the most of these incredible moments. So in this session, all the panelists, I will ask each of you one question. And to make sure that we have a rich and balanced dialogue, I would invite each of you to share your thoughts within 4 minutes. So without any further ado, please allow me to open the dialogue with our first panelist, President Xu Xiao. So President Xu, we know China is developing the 15th five-year plan. And in the new five-year plan, can you share with us the key actions and also the measures to promote the youth participation and also the engagement? Please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention to China's youth work. President Xi Jinping has pointed out that a nation prospers when its youth thrives. So the Chinese government always regarded youth work as a strategic priority. In March this year, China's 15th five-year plan outline was officially released, setting the main goals and major tasks for national development in the next 5 years. It has a special session dedicated to youth and mentioned youth in 17 other sections. This surely demonstrates the great importance we have attached to youth. It has the following features. First, guiding young people to establish correct values. At the present, changes unseen in a century are accelerating. Various cultural trends are clashing and surging. This has a profound impact on young people's thinking and values. So the outline places strengthening youth ideals and beliefs education in a primary position. It proposes advancing the study of the party's innovative theories, carry out the core socialist values, and also carry forward the traditional Chinese culture. The All China Youth Federation conducts online learning on social media, organized young role models to share experiences, and hold special practice projects for social activities. This guides young people to appreciate the bright prospects of China's modernization and also integrate their personal pursuits into the overall national development. Second, we focus on serving high-quality youth development. Practices of various countries show that addressing young people's practical difficulties help promote social stability and unlock youth potential. The outline proposes helping youth solve practical challenges in education, employment, innovation, and entrepreneurship, marriage and children bearing, and also housing security. This allows young people to move forward unburdened and better contribute to Chinese modernization. The All China Youth Federation leads the implementation of the medium and long-term youth development plan and conveys youth demands to party committees and governments and create a policy and social environment suitable for youth growth and talent development. We have promoted the building of youth development-oriented cities in over 200 cities nationwide by building 3,000 youth stations, 69,000 youth houses. This empowers young people's development and stimulate their vitality. And thirdly, we build platforms for youth to make achievements and contributions. The UN Pact for the Future points out that youth are an important force in promoting economic and social development. So the outline calls for young people to strive in fields such as sci-tech innovation, rural revitalization, green development, and social services. And every year, the All China Youth Federation organizes millions of university students to participate in science and technology competitions. And we have formed tens of thousands of youth teams to engage in sci-tech innovation and industry innovation, and also organize millions of university students to participate in social practices. And tens of thousands of university students go to our Western areas for 1 to 3 years of volunteer service. And we have implemented the Dreaming of the Silk Road program in over 30 Belt and Road Initiative partner countries. And we have also engaged in 600 youth empowerment projects. So all in all, China's 15th five-year plan outline is not only a new blueprint for China's development, but also an engine for world development. We're looking forward to strengthen exchange with youth from all over the world to jointly create a better future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Xu. As President just mentioned that China has a dedicated section in the China's 15th five-year plan, which is a very important highlight. And also in the past years, we see that in China, we have a very prioritized youth development policies. So thank you so much, President, for sharing. So coming next, I would like to give the floor to Secretary Koff. So we know last year, Brazil has a very successful COP30. So we know that Brazil has always been attaching great importance to the climate education among young people. So could you please share some practical and replicable measures that Brazil has taken to empower young people in the climate governance? Please.
Good morning, everyone. Ni hao. First of all, when we talk about climate change, we talk about legacy and history. Here in 2026, we found ourselves in this situation because in the past decades, those who had the power to envision a more sustainable development chose not to. And in the decades that followed, even as awareness grew, it was only when we reached a crisis point that decisions began to be made and concrete action began. Today's youth carries a responsibility that is not only about the next generations, but also about our own. The uncertainty of having children and grandchildren, not knowing whether they will see their own children and grandchildren grow up in a world as we know it today. And that is precisely why we, as young people, cannot wait. This uncertainty does not paralyze us. It has to move us forward. Brazil is the guardian of the largest share of the Amazon rainforest, and like other countries in our region, we bear a great responsibility to protect and defend the forest that regulates a significant part of the world's temperature. President Lula da Silva is one of the leading voices in the world on climate change, and in 2025, we hosted, as you said, COP30 in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. So when we speak to our generation and to young people about climate, it's within this understanding and this responsibility, so that young people also feel accountable today for the future we need to build. Our generation did not inherit a healthy planet, but inherited the awareness, the organization, and the determination to change the course of the history. And that is exactly what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I actually see a very important expression by the president. You know, in the global development, youth have always been the change makers. And we sometimes say, youth are the future generation. But today, I hear a very good word. Youth are the present generation. Thank you so much. And coming next, I would like to go to the Secretariat, Gutierrez. So, you know, Peru is home to a rich biodiversity and the brilliant indigenous cultures. So how does your country empower young people to demonstrate innovative leadership in environmental protection, climate action, and in the preservation of traditional culture? Please.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Buenos días con todos. El Perú es un país de extraordinaria diversidad, el hogar de la Amazonía, los Andes y de una de las civilizaciones más antiguas del mundo. Esta responsabilidad cultural y ambiental implica una serie de responsabilidades. Y en esa labor, los jóvenes peruanos asumen un rol fundamental. Desde la Secretaría Nacional de la Juventud del Ministerio de Educación, tenemos el programa del voluntariado juvenil, un mecanismo principal para que las y los jóvenes ejerzan un liderazgo activo, innovador y comprometido con su territorio y con su cultura. En este programa, las y los jóvenes no solo son beneficiarios, sino protagonistas que diseñan e implementan acciones concretas en sus territorios a lo largo de todo el país. En materia ambiental, hemos articulado una alianza con la organización llamada Light of Plastic. En el presente año hemos organizado jornadas nacionales de limpieza de cuerpos de agua en 16 regiones del país, conjuntamente con nuestros jóvenes voluntarios, desde la costa hasta la Amazonía, interviniendo en más de 32 espacios, entre playas, ríos y lagos. Asimismo, hemos lanzado el proyecto Museo Mar Abierto, una muestra artística que combina arte y educación ambiental con voluntarios juveniles como mediadores culturales. En esa misma línea tenemos un ejemplo de práctica en cambio climático y cultura tradicional a través del proyecto denominado Minca Joven. La Minca es una práctica ancestral andina de trabajo comunitario solidario. Hemos recuperado ese valor milenario y lo hemos puesto en práctica para el servicio a través de los jóvenes. Jóvenes voluntarios que recuperan espacios a través del trabajo conjunto, desarrollando en entornos urbanos murales y actividades de sensibilización, promoviendo la corresponsabilidad ambiental. Así, por ejemplo, en el presente año 2026, en el marco de la Hora del Planeta, voluntarios del proyecto Minca Joven trabajaron junto al gobierno regional de Moquegua para sensibilizar a la ciudadanía sobre consumo responsable y huella de carbono. Finalmente, permítanme comentarles sobre un testimonio que ilustra cómo una persona joven puede generar cambio en su región, en el país y en el mundo. Tenemos un ejemplo de liderazgo juvenil que, cuando se combina la identidad cultural y el conocimiento, genera grandes cambios. William C.G. Cantuach es un joven aguajún de 20 años, nacido en Cuyumatac, una de las comunidades más remotas de nuestra Amazonía peruana. Creció viendo cómo la minería ilegal devastaba los ríos y suelos de su tierra. En lugar de resignarse y expectar el problema, formó parte de un cambio, convirtiendo ese malestar en ciencia. Desarrolló BioICAM, que en su lenguaje significa bosque nativo, un bioinsumo a base de hongos nativos capaz de recuperar los suelos contaminados por mercurio. En el año 2025, la Secretaría Nacional de la Juventud le otorgó el Premio Nacional de la Juventud Yenuri Chigualacruz, en reconocimiento por su trabajo. William encontró las soluciones al problema de su propio bosque, en su propia lengua y en su propia cultura. Su historia resume lo que el Perú cree sobre el liderazgo juvenil, que el mejor liderazgo es aquel que mira el futuro sin olvidar sus raíces. A través del voluntariado, del Premio Nacional de la Juventud y demás acciones con la sociedad civil, estamos desarrollando y recuperando valores comunitarios ancestrales, animando a los jóvenes a ser protagonistas y no espectadores de la transformación que el planeta necesita. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Secretary Guterres. I think she just mentioned the volunteer experience of your country. Actually today, as you can see from the room, we also have a lot of volunteers supporting us to make this forum happen. I think they are very important highlights of the forum. Again, can I call for a warm round of applause to thank all the volunteers today? Thank you so much. I think the Secretary just mentioned is very much aligned with the UN's policy, as we sometimes say, we're not only working for young people, but also with the young people. So thank you so much for the sharing. So coming next, I would like to ask President Balash. So your organization has long been committed to promote the youth participation and also safeguarding the youth rights. So can you please share with us your experiences in identifying the youth needs and how you will address the challenges they face? Please.
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hello. So how do we know what young people actually need? We can read reports, we can look at surveys, or you can just simply ask us, and then do something about it. That's essentially what we do at the Polish National Youth Council, and I'd like to share how this works in practice. We bring together youth organization representatives, young people, from national students' federations to local civic associations. But we are much more than a structure. We are a permanent space for dialogue. And dialogue is really where it all starts. Since 2011, we've been running EU Youth Dialogue in Poland, a structured process where young people from across the country discuss their priorities, formulate recommendations, and bring them directly to decision makers. In the current cycle, we've reached tens of thousands of young people through workshops in schools, community centers, and local youth councils. Also, under another project, Polish Youth Dialogue, we've organized local consultations in major Polish cities. And what consistently comes up? Mental health, housing affordability, the quality of education, and young people's sense that their voice simply doesn't reach the institutions that shape their lives. So what happens and should happen after the dialogue? We advocate. We have a dedicated advocacy team of experts who translate what young people tells us into concrete legislative proposals. And we take those proposals directly to the parliament. For example, this May, we brought 200 young people, including representatives of youth councils from all over the country, to the Polish parliament to discuss that Poland needs a national youth strategy and that youth councils deserve real legislative backing. The strategy will be done by end of this year, which is a great success, because dialogue without action is just noise, and young people deserve better than a noise. Thank you.
Thank you, President, for sharing the meaningful youth engagement and to ensure that youth are consulted before they are taking part or we decide their decisions. Thank you so much. So coming next, I would like to have Mr. Mo. Youth leadership is essential for a very vibrant society. So could you please share with us some specific practices from your country in promoting young people's political participation and leadership? Please.
Thank you. 4 minutes is so short. Please give me 1 minute, please. Is okay?
I think it's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Young people from the world, it is great pleasure to be here with you, and especially First Secretary Adong and President Shishan. Thank you. I'm Mo, a member of National Assembly of Republic of Korea, and chair of the National Youth Committee of the Democratic Party, Korea's ruling party. The fact that I am standing here today may be the shortest answer to the question that was just asked: what exactly is Korea doing for young people's political participation and leadership? Just over 10 years ago, it was not easy in Korea for a young person like me to become a member of National Assembly or to take on a big role inside a political party. First, Korea has made young people's political rights wider through law. In 2020, we lowered the voting age from 19 to 18. In late 2021, we lowered the age to run for National Assembly and in local election from 25 to 18. And 2022, we lowered the age to join a political party to 16. In 2022, Korea started a new system. When a party chooses youth candidates aged 39 or under, the government gives that party extra money based on how many young candidates it puts forward. We call this the Youth Nomination Subsidy. It was made so that the more young candidates a party runs, the more support it gets. On top of that, the law now says every party must spend at least 5% of each government funding on growing youth politics. Korea has started to support youth politics not with kind words, but with real money. Parties move too. My own party, the Democratic Party, made a rule to keep 30% of its local election nomination for young people. It also runs a youth political school all around the country to find and train young politicians. On top of these systems, the National Youth Committee that I lead brings together young politicians from all over the country and works to put the voices we collect into our party's policies. And I myself am one of the results of everything I have just described to you. The first job I had when I entered politics was governor's secretary for youth police in local government. And the governor of Gyeonggi province at the time is now the president of Korea, Lee Jae-myung. Working on youth policy myself as a youth secretary made me a member of National Assembly in my 30s and leader of my party's youth group. This is not because I am special. I am simply proof that if you open a path for young people, they will walk it. In Korea today, more and more young people are following the same path as mine. Of course, youth politics in Korea still has a long way to go, but direction is clear. Young people are not a future generation, they are a present generation. We must treat them not as something we save for the future, but as the decision makers of today. Korea will not be the only country walking this path. I hope that each one of you here today will become that same proof of change in your own country. Thank you for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mo. I think she shared a very inspiring story about himself, like joining the government, right? Which is very innovative to have the youth nomination subsidized from the government. Thank you so much. So coming next, I would like to have Secretary General Benning. We know the Pan-Pacific Youth Union has played an important role in promoting Africa youth participation in the implementation of the Agenda 2063. So could you please share with your organization's experiences and best practices in advancing youth policy and promoting youth capacity building and environment? Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting us to be here. So probably I would contextualize and to say that the Pan-African Youth Union, like my colleagues have spoken, I think they speak from a national point of view. But the Pan-African Youth Union federates 54 national coordinating mechanisms. And if you know what these national coordinating mechanisms are in Africa, they are national youth councils, agencies, commissions, and authorities across our member states. And I think that Africa is probably the only continent that's got a charter that harmonizes youth development. And so we have the Africa Youth Charter. One of the core mandates of the Pan-African Youth Union is to ensure the effective operationalization of this Africa Youth Charter. And in Article 12 of that charter, it says that every member state should establish a national coordinating mechanism. So first, our core mandate is to ensure that we coordinate the operationalization of Article 12, that all the 54 states in Africa have national coordinating mechanisms. They could be commissions, agencies, authorities, or councils. Second is to ensure that the Africa Youth Charter is domesticated into a national policy. And that means we are working with the ministries of youth, the directors of youth, and state actors to ensure that they are able, first, to sign and ratify this Africa Youth Charter, second, domesticate it into a national youth policy. And then there's a third dimension that has to do with mobilizing young people to be part of the development processes. You just mentioned Agenda 2063. It's Africa's 60-year development blueprint, broken down 10 years. We are currently in the second 10-year implementation phase. Now, Africa arguably has the largest youth demographic on the continent, and so one of the conversations we have is how do we harness Africa's demographic dividends? To do that, it means we are galvanizing young people, we are mobilizing them. Now, you cannot mobilize young people across 54 member states of the African Union without providing opportunities for them. So what do we do as the Pan-African Youth Union? Every year, we fund hundreds of young representatives to participate in all the major decision-making platforms. Within the UN system in Africa, we have the Conference of Ministers of Finance and Planning. The Pan-African Youth Union funds young people to have side events, to contribute to the conversations that our Ministers of Finance and Economic Planning meet every year to discuss, because that's where the budget is discussed. We have one of the biggest convenings in Africa we call the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development that discusses the SDGs and national development. The Pan-African Youth Union supports and funds youth representation in these meetings. Now, within the context of the African Union itself, you cannot talk about the full operationalization of the Agenda 2063 without young people understanding what it is. So one of the things that we do is to work with our national youth councils to democratize, break down this agenda in a way that we are able to rally youth action around the full operationalization of Agenda 2063. So basically what we do is to mobilize the youth across the member states, ensure that they have a space and a seat in planning processes at member state level through these national mechanisms. And then we have the regional youth platforms. We have about 11 regional organizations in Africa: COMESA, CENSAD, ECOWAS, SADC, ECA. And so one of the things that we do is to ensure that young people within these economic communities are able to actively plug onto the processes at the sub-regional level. And so we do have this youth platform there. And then one of our core mandates is to ensure that they are properly coordinated and that they are able to contribute to those processes. And then we do not leave the youth civil societies out of the equation, because again, to understand Africa, you need to know how the youth ecosystem is configured. And most of these national mechanisms are statutory structures by law. So you find that there are some institutions or organizations like youth civil society organizations that may be left out. So every year, we have what we call the Africa Regional Consultative Dialogues that brings together all these groups: the youth delegates, the youth civil society organization, the regional platforms, the national youth councils, and then we come up with a decision that is communicated to the highest level of our continent. So the Pan-African Youth Union basically focuses on rallying youthful energies around the frameworks that we have continentally, and second, ensuring that whilst we rally and mobilize them, we are giving them an opportunity to be on the table. And then you have the final stretch that has to do with how is it that we are able to get these young people to engage or activate their own civic responsibility. Just last year we were in Uganda on an outreach program in Uganda. And so one of the things that we do is to ensure that our national youth councils at national and community level can activate their own civic duty and responsibility in contributing meaningfully to national development processes. Thank you.
Okay, it's very impressive. Thank you so much. So I really admire that to give young people a seat. As you can see from the audience today, we actually have a lot of African young people. Can you wave your hands? Yeah, I think these are the people benefited from this. Thank you so much. So coming next, I would like to give the floor to Stephen. Stephen, welcome and congratulations to take up this important role in UN in China. So we know that UN has been attaching great importance on the youth development. So looking ahead, can you share with us what are the priority areas and specific actions that UN in China will take to promote youth development? Please.
Susie and friends, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'd like to say a word about the UN in China and also about the UN globally. But let me start by saying that youth development is an urgency whether we're looking at the world, whether we're looking at the UN, or whether we're looking at China. And looking at China, we see the youth population as representing a really extraordinary opportunity if we all together get it right. It's not going to happen by accident that we can convert the potential of this large, educated and increasingly connected new generation into that drive for development that this forum is all about. We have to be deliberate about it, we have to be sustained about it, we have to be thinking about the right conditions, we have to be ensuring that youth development is not treated in isolation, and we have to make sure that young people themselves, I'm no longer young, that young people themselves are at the center of this. I do want to recognize, as President Xu has said, that for the first time, the 15th five-year plan here in China has a separate section on youth development, and I think that that's really welcome, recognizing just how important this is. At the global level, and my brother Felipe spoke briefly about this earlier, the equivalent framework is the Pact for the Future, adopted by all of the member states in 2024. And it has, as you all know, Chapter 4 on youth and future generations. That really gives us the framework from which to work. It's all about meaningful participation and strengthening intergenerational solidarity. For the UN in China, Susie, we're strengthening coordination across that alphabet soup that usually runs all the way from the Food and Agriculture Organization at the start of the European alphabet all the way to the World Meteorological Organization, and with tens of agencies in between. We're coming together to focus on key areas like youth entrepreneurship, decent jobs, digital and AI skills, climate action, and volunteerism. And yeah, I do want to give a shout out for that. This is the International Year of Volunteers for Sustainable Development, and so volunteerism really at the heart of this. We have some flagship platforms that we're bringing together: Generation Unlimited, Youth Collab, Youth Innovation Hubs, the Movers Programme, all about skills, opportunities to tackle today's challenges and contribute to sustainable development. And that's about bringing the UN, government, private sector, young people themselves together to find expanded pathways around skills, entrepreneurship, volunteering, and employment. I do just want to say a quick word about equity and equality. That's really important to us in all of this. Leaving no one behind is at the center of the 2030 agenda, as you all know. So we want to pay particular attention to young women, to rural youth, and other underserved youth demographics out there in China, and build a strong, scalable ecosystem of support for young people. So China, the United Nations, and young people together. So just to wind up then, we are very clear that we see young people in China as a powerful source of opportunity, as we do around the world. We want to align our work as UN China with the national vision and the global commitments, and really strengthen collaboration and delivery through these youth platforms that operate at the national and the subnational level. I'm firmly persuaded that it's time for my generation to get out of the way. I was young once, I'm no longer young, but I remember what it was like, and I remember that impatience to change the world. I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of you can do, and we're here to help. 谢谢.
Thank you, Stephen, for sharing these important opportunities from the UN system for young people to get engaged. I still remember that in 2018, the UN Secretary Office, I think it's the Secretary General's office, announced the youth strategy. And you know what? That is also the reason how I joined the UNDP as a young people. I think this is a very very, very good opportunity for young people to get inside this work and to engage with young people to make decisions for themselves. So I'm also the person who benefited from this. Thank you so much, Stephen. So coming next, I would like to ask Mayor Xiong. So Mayor Xiong, I understand that Wuhan recently launched 10 major initiatives to accelerate the building of a youth development-oriented city, which includes many practical measures to support youth innovation and entrepreneurship. We know this is a very important pillar in our country's youth development. So can you share with us how Wuhan is supporting this? Please, Mr. Xiong.
好，谢谢主持人。
Thank you very much, dear moderator. It's my great pleasure to meet all of you and to share with you in the beautiful city of Wuhan. So young people gather in this city, and the city are thriving because of this gathering. Since 2013, Wuhan has implemented the Qingzhong Plan, and till 2017, we have initiated the 1 million university students stay in Wuhan project, from hosting the 3 sessions of the Great River Dialogue to launching last year the International Sister Cities Youth Exchange Week. We have always placed youth at the center position of urban development and actively promoted exchanges and mutual learning among youth from around the world in entrepreneurship and business building. So the 10 measures you have just mentioned are a series of new policy measures launched just this year. And these 10 measures are focused on 2 specific areas in supporting youth innovation and entrepreneurship. First, we use urban renewal as a key starting point to create diverse spaces for youth innovation and entrepreneurship. At present, China's urban development is shifting from a large-scale incremental expansion to stock improvement and efficiency enhancement. Therefore, we believe that urban renewal is both an important engine for high-quality urban development, but also a major opportunity to expand spaces for innovation and entrepreneurship. In the next 3 years, we expect to carry out 182 small but beautiful urban renewal projects, especially surrounding Wuhan University, Huazhong University of Science and Technology, and Wuhan University of Technology. And we will accelerate the building of the one city, 3 corridors, and the multiple belts innovation spatial pattern. In the coming 3 years, we plan to build more than 8 million square meters of innovation carriers, such as Luoyu Silicon Valley. And we will develop 30 OPC ecological communities and establish 60 university student entrepreneurship incubation bases. So these measures are meant to create a series of low-cost, convenient, and one-stop platform for entrepreneurship. And the second area is that we rely on policy services to create a first-class innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. The highlights will be on addressing the challenges for youth entrepreneurship, such as funding support, application scenarios development, as well as livable housing. And the annual startup projects number will be around 500 each year, and we will provide up to 5 million yuan in fund investment for entrepreneurial young talents. We also plan to organize various activities, including entrepreneurship competition, project roadshows, and achievement matchmaking activities in a number of over 100. And we will cultivate and open up a number of typical application scenarios covering big health, digital communication, etc. And every year, we also plan to raise about 40,000 units of affordable rental housing, and also add 15,000 daycare places and also school seats each year. And for the college freshmen entering university this September, we will issue the City Smart Youth Card so that we can provide sufficient sunshine, air, soil, and water for every youthful dream. When cities are more friendly to youth, youth can achieve more in cities. Just like Secretary Shen Yuechun has mentioned in his presentation of Wuhan City, Wuhan is the world's first international wetland city with a population over 10 million. It also ranks 8th globally in the Nature Index for Science Research. So big rivers, big lakes, and big Wuhan. It is truly a city with great livability and youthful energy. Every year, Wuhan attracts more than 300,000 university students to come or stay in Wuhan. And youth account for more than 35% of the city's total population. For example, the East Lake High-Tech Development Zone, also known as the Optics Valley of China, the average population of this area is only 32, even younger than that of Shenzhen City. So we can see great energy and passion for entrepreneurship and innovation. Wuhan is also a city of industries. Just like Mr. Lei Jun has presented to us, Wuhan is home to 2.7 million market entities, 17,000 high-tech enterprises, and 311 Fortune 500 companies. This provides a broad stage for young people to showcase their talents. So we sincerely hope that young people from all around the world will choose Wuhan, settle in Wuhan, take root in Wuhan, make investment in Wuhan, and seek further development opportunities. Together, we can achieve mutual success and create a better future. Thank you.
Thank you. We know Wuhan has been one of the very important cities to attract the startups. And also, Mr. Xun just mentioned the city example of how they are supporting the youth innovation and entrepreneurship. I think which is aligned with President Xu's national context and the national policies of supporting young people. So thank you so much. And actually in UN, we see youth are central to the SDGs. And in China, when I was growing up, I always hear the words that saying, 青年强则国强. In English, it means if the young generation in this country is strong, then this country is strong. So today, I'm very delighted to have this panelists sharing. I'm sure that you will get a lot of inspirations through this. Now, I would like to call for a warm round of applause to appreciate all the sharing of our panelists today. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being part of this dialogue. So together, in the future, let's continue to raise the youth flag high. Thank you so much for participating in this session. Please return to your seat. Thank you so much.